Welcome. In this program, we are going to be discussing another very much important managerial aspect, which is something related to the board secretary of the company. In accordance with the legal representation of the company in the market, the company bylaws is articulated so as to bring the company fulfilling what the local legislative bodies is requiring the company to be having and to be fulfilling while operating. So, the legal representation of the company is fundamental. How it is formed, is it a shareholders company, is it a limited partnership or whatever. So this is the local formation of the company. After which the bylaws is going to be articulated so as to fulfill these needs. And then it's going to be in line with what the state legislative bodies are requesting them to do. Similarly, the stock exchange market is asking the company to be fulfilling things. That's why the company bylaws is going to be articulated in such a manner. The board secretariat. Is it needed for every and each company? The answer is no. It goes according to the legal formation of the company. So a limited partnership or a limited liability company does not need to have a board secretary, while the shareholding companies need to be having a board of directors. So the company bylaws is going to be well articulating what is needed from the board of the directors of this company, how it is formed, what is the number of the board members, what are their roles and responsibilities, what are the duties of the chairman, what are the duties of the board secretary, and what is the corporate governance charter is going to be articulating in such a matter so as to well have a definitive articulated scope of work which is holding the roles and responsibilities of the board of directors to be developing and to be implementing. This is what meant by the board of directors and the board secretary. How many times they are going to be convening on quarterly basis according to what is articulated in the bylaws. What are the reports that need to be coming from the board of directors? Who is going to be looking at it? And how the company departments are going to be fulfilling the needs of the company board of directors so as to develop the required reports, especially the annual report which is coming by the end of each year and need to be discussed in the board meeting before calling for the annual general meeting. The annual general meeting is having duties that we are going to come in a minute to discuss, and the external or extraordinary annual general meeting is another matter. So one is called AGM, annual general meeting, and the other one is called EGM, extraordinary general meeting. Every and each one is having, in accordance to the company bylaws, a kind of an agenda. So things are developed properly, crystal cleared in an agenda. So the board of directors is not meeting haphazardly. They are having an agenda which is articulating what is needed to be done. The board of directors, before convening, is going to have a kind of set of a scheduled meeting. It is having at least on quarterly basis, and it is to be happening after the external auditors have their draft ready for the board to be discussed. So here, once again, the full cohesion and the full good work between different stakeholders is taking place. Auditors are developing their quarterly financial report with all the comments. The draft is going to be discussed with the finance department, and then it's going to be presented for the board so as to be discussed. So the board of directors on a quarterly basis are discussing the quarterly financial statements. This is one. The comments coming from the board is going to be well discussed and is going to be well answered by both the finance department and the external auditors before the final version of the quarterly report is going to be developed. When the quarterly report is developed, it's going to be submitted on a timely basis to the stock exchange market. So like we can see here, it's not a joke. It is the neck of the company on the verb. So it needs to be developed on a quarterly basis. It needs to be submitted. Also, it happens on a half-year method and the third quarter. And finally, the annual report is going to be ready by the end of the fourth quarter. So the full year is going to be there, discussed at the 4 board of directors meeting. The comments are going to be answered and the annual report can be ready now to be published. Not just only in the stock exchange market, but it's going to be discussed at the annual general meeting for the shareholders. So this is the fundamental call of an annual general meeting, is the discussion and the approval of the financial statements, which is developed by the end of the fiscal year, which might differ from a company to another. Some of them is finishing by the 31st of December, some of them is finishing by the 30th of June. It won't make any difference. It is covering a period of 12 fiscal months. So the fiscal year is just 12 months. While the extra general meeting is discussing other matters, like for instance, if you would like to make a kind of an alteration or a kind of modification for the company's bylaws. So this is the call of the EGM, the extraordinary general meeting, not the AGM, the annual general meeting. So the board of directors is very much important, so as to well manage all what we've been discussing briefly and quickly during the last minutes. The roles and responsibilities of the chairman need to be very well comprehended. The board secretary is also another fundamental role. The interaction with the external auditors, the interaction with all the departments of the company need to be there. Other very much important matter that need to be discussed in the board of the directors is the discussion of the budget of the company. In quarter 1, the board of directors need to be approving the company's budget for the fiscal year, which is yet to come. So that means that the management, when it develops the budget, it needs to be endorsed by the board of directors. Board of directors members can be of an executive nature, which means that they are coming from the same company, and non-executive board members, they are coming from outside the operation. Someone is going to ask, so we know about the logic behind having executive board directors coming from within the company, but what is the need to bring non-executive board directors from outside the operation? It is the experience and the connection and the well links that those non-executive board of directors can give the company, with their vast experience in maybe other business activities rather than the principal objectives of the company or the principal streamline or the principal operation. So it could be a pharmaceutical company while having non-executive board directors who are working in the banking sector. So those people from the non-executive board directors with their vast experience in the banking section, with their interaction, can be giving very much sound decisions and very much sound advices to the board of directors of the pharmaceutical company to help them running their operation, while it is very much 100% linked to pharma business, but in the financial and the economical arena where the company is operating. So non-executive board directors is very much important, like the executive ones. The executives are coming from the operation, the non-executives are coming from different businesses. They are cooperating with each other so as to bring a very much broad decision making into the company's operation. Of course, the discussion of the risk management and the risk plans and all other fundamental aspects is there in the board of directors book. The internal audit committee is also having a kind of a report that they can be submitting to the board of directors so as to give the board of directors a clear vision of what's happening in the operation. So the board of directors is very much resting, very much strong about its composition of executives and non-executives. One second, they are fulfilled with internal audit reports coming from the internal audit department or internal audit committee. They are having reports coming from the external audit bureau, so they are very much well aware of what's happening in the operation, not just only financially and managerially, and working hand in hand with the management to bring what we discussed in the compliance section, which is the transparency. The financial statements need to be very well articulating in full transparency, a clear and comprehensive picture of what's happening in the operation to both the external stakeholders, whom are the shareholders, and the internal holders, whom are the staff members of the company. Thank you.